So as of all things that I get obsessed about, this astronomy thing is getting a little bit out of control. I bought myself a Celestron smartphone adapter. I'm really kind of enjoying using my Celestron Nexstar 6 SE, and I'm enjoying using the new lenses and being able to attach my DSLR to it. But sometimes I just don't have a lot of time to spend or get all this stuff set up. And I've actually taken one really good picture with just my iPhone before, and it must have been a fluke, because I don't know if you've ever tried it, trying to get your lens right over the eyepiece and in focus and everything is like a mission impossible. So I decided to pick up one of these Celestron NexYZ, or not NexYZ, whatever you prefer to call it, and it's actually quite expensive. It's £50. There are cheaper alternatives that I've seen online, but when I've researched about them, people have basically said they're flimsy or they break over time, and they're around 2/3 of the price. So I figured I'll pay a little bit more and hopefully get something that's a bit more sturdy. So I thought I'd unbox it and we'll try it out and basically see kind of what I think and if it's worth getting one. So let's pop open the box, see what we get inside. So Celestron boxing is always very functional, but not necessarily that sexy. It's definitely not like an Apple product or someone wanted to be Apple-esque, but that's fine, because I'd rather have a functional product than something that is really expensive. So let's have a look what we got in here. So I'll put that to one side for a minute. So here we have some basic instructions. So this should fit most smartphones. It's got quite a good level of adjustability, and it should fit telescopes, binoculars, spotting scopes, whatever sort of thing you're into. Obviously, I think you can adapt it slightly to adjust and fit to a microscope. I don't have one of those to try, but I believe you can. As he says here, yeah, so for microscopes, choose one of the two provided adapter rings that best fits your microscope's eyepiece to secure it into place. So there you go. So it should be quite straightforward. So there's a lever that we're going to squeeze the clamp over the eyepiece, and then we do up a safety lock, and then attach our phone, and then align everything, and see how we go. So we'll do this little bit of unboxing now, and obviously then I will take this outside and try it just on the telescope in the daytime, so it's quite easy to line it up with something and see how well it works. Okay, so just looking at it straight away, it feels good quality plastics. So I don't know, is it, I want to say it feels like it's £50 worth of plastic. I mean, some things are a little bit flimsy, but I guess they need to have a reasonable amount of movement in it, obviously, to work, but it feels well constructed, and easy enough to maneuver, which I think is important. So the way this works, in my understanding, is obviously we're going to attach the smartphone into this main section here. That adjusts really wide. Oh, not too wide as it pops out. That's not good. Okay. So yeah, it's just a spring in a groove. So just be careful how far you attach it. It doesn't feel like it's a really strong grip in there, so I don't know if that spring will weaken over time, but we'll try that out. So yeah, put the phone in there, then with this clamp we're going to clamp that over the eyepiece, and then I think we kind of adjust this little piece here to tighten the clamp onto the eyepiece so it doesn't move around too much. Then we have a couple of additional knobs to fine tune it. So this knob on my left, as I look at this, allows us to focus in and out to the eyepiece, and that's a really smooth, nice flow of movement, which is good. And then this larger one enables us to move the eyepiece up and down around the smartphone camera lens. So we will go downstairs, get things plugged in and try it out. What I am noticing, which is good, if you like your stuff to, you know, be kept in a good condition, this has a nice rubber backing where your phone sits. So one thing I won't know until we try it out in a moment is how well this fits in with a case on the phone. So I have a iPhone 8 Plus and it has a case on it, so we'll see how well that fits in there. But this also has nice, not on the top actually, on the bottom it's got a nice soft touch material, which means it's obviously going to grab but also not scratch your eyepiece. But there's nothing on the top, which is a shame really, and a bit confusing. Why didn't they follow this up to the top? But I guess the answer is to save a bit of money. But yeah, it all seems pretty good. So let me grab my phone and we'll see how well this fits in here at the desk, and then we can go downstairs. So these must be the eyepiece things that they mentioned for the microscope, which just enables us to grab on a bit harder. So put them in the box. I'll grab my phone, we'll do a quick kind of test fit here and see how it works, and then we'll pop outside and try it on the telescope itself. Okay, so I grabbed my phone. So one thing I obviously just realised when we do the recording later, I do my best to show the screen, but I'll also do some recording because I have one of these security protective covers on, so it's difficult for the camera to pick things up. But let's see how well things fit in. So just looking at this from the front, obviously this pulls out quite nicely here. If we pop the phone in, yeah, it does, it fits snugly with the case. So we'll just pop that down there. That's actually a really nice firm fit. Actually, I was worried it wouldn't be too firm because it didn't feel like there's much tension there, but the phone actually fits in really well. So I'm not worried about that falling off. So if I just imagine what that would be like. And actually I think just because of the weight, it does allow a nice smooth movement, which is really good. And yeah, that all seems really good. So let's pop outside and see if we can focus on a chimney or something, and then see how well this thing actually works. And then if the skies are clear tonight, I'll add some bonus footage on the end of some nighttime viewing. The moon is currently not out in the evenings at the moment, so it's great for seeing some other stars. So perhaps we can see if I can see Saturn or something, and see what it looks like through the camera. So I just realised actually before I go outside, there's obviously, I thought this was just an extended knob for adjusting the height. The one in closer moves the horizontal as well, so really it does give you the full, I guess it is a free axis adapter. So yeah, you got the full up, down, left, right, and in and out motions. So really should enable the ability to get good customization of what we're looking for here. I think the one challenge I'm going to have potentially is with the newer iPhone. Obviously you've got the two lenses, so I'm not quite sure which lens has priority, so we'll have to mess around with that a little bit. I'm just going to use a standard 25mm Celestron eyepiece. So we've got, you know, it's not a massive field of view, but it won't be too zoomed in to try a few things out. Okay, so we're outside now, going to try and test this out. I think the thing to be aware of, it's summer holidays right now, and kids are out and people are having domestics and stuff, so apologies for any background noise. I've lined the camera camera, the telescope, up with a chimney breast over there and focused it in. So that's what we're going to try and hopefully get to see through the camera. So let's make it happen. Okay, so the first thing is going to be making sure that we get this attached nice and tight onto the eyepiece. So it does feel really loose when you first set it on. So this is where this adapter here is going to do something, I guess, in terms of turning it down, hopefully to a stage where it locks tightly. Yeah, so that feels really good actually. There's a good level of movement, and you can feel that that's now in a good place. It's only moving because the eyepiece is a little bit loose, so that's good. So now if I turn the phone on, see what we can see initially. Just not quite sure what I can see here right now, but there are just some knobs. Okay, that's good. So we're making some progress. So I can now at least see the chimney breast in there. So now I'm going to try and move it along the vertical axis a little bit. Okay, that's good. So now I can definitely see I'm in the eyepiece. I can still see the ring of the eyepiece a little bit, which makes sense. So now I need to try and move it forwards and backwards. All the controls feel quite natural in a way. Obviously I've not used this before, but it feels natural to kind of move things further away and closer. So that's moving it in. So I've got, what I'm going to do actually is I have the eyepiece eye relief up, so I'm just going to push that down and to just adjust the grip a little bit so I can get it closer to the eyepiece. So I'm just pop that off, pop the eyepiece down. Need to give the eyepiece a clean actually, it's a bit messy. Right, but I've now got a much closer fit on that. So let me just do this back up again. Yeah, so the phone is now resting on the eyepiece. I think this will be the issue now where, obviously because it's got the case on, there's probably going to be a little bit of light ingress on there. So if I hold it round, I can see I'm covering up the light. But let's try again, see if we can move this in closer at all. Okay, let's try and move this around a little bit. So I can still clearly see the eyepiece in there, but it's actually not too bad. So I just feel like I need to move it towards me a little bit now. Okay, that's too far down. So you definitely get to feel that there's a sweet spot, and you want to definitely colour things up a little bit because you definitely get some light pollution in from the side. I think obviously this is going to be better at night time than it is during the day. I'm going to pop the case off my phone and see if that makes any difference, because I feel like I can't quite get as close as I'd like. Okay, so it has definitely changed the angles a little bit. There's definitely a balance of trying to have the phone as flat as possible, which is a little bit difficult because the obviously the camera on the iPhone does protrude a little bit. Let me just check there. And there is a slight bit of movement in the bracket
obviously to enable the axis to move up and down. So that's something to be aware of. But let's try and see if we can focus this in again, or at least position it properly. Okay, so there is the chimney. I think actually having it too close does impact the image a little bit. And I think it's to do with the phone's ability to manage that zoom. Because you see now, if you try and zoom in, it just becomes unusable. So you have to move the phone away to improve the quality of the picture, which means you are seeing the ring of the eyepiece. I guess it's got such a large field of view on the camera. So I think that's it for outside. Let's pop back inside and I guess summarise what I think.
Okay, so just back in from outside. So a couple of thoughts. I'm not going to conclude this video until I've done some nighttime footage. So just keep that in mind. So bear with me. This is just the initial thought before we kind of close out the video. I'm actually impressed and disappointed at the same time, but I want to caveat that for a couple of things that are on my mind, which I will prove out. So I really like how well and easy it is to fit. Looking online, lots of people complain that there's movement around the eyepiece. I think it's because people don't realise that this piece here, this nicely crafted aluminium adjuster, is what you need to tighten up. So if I tighten this up now, look, there's no movement in that clip, it doesn't open. So you have to adjust it, pop it on your eyepiece, and then adjust it. If you don't do that, then it is going to move around. So don't let that put you off. That works really well. And the materials are really good. And it does feel intuitive to move. Now, I wouldn't say my phone is really heavy, but one of the things that I did notice that when it was on there, I've got two problems with the phone. One is that the phone obviously has an eyepiece, the camera lens is off to the side, which creates a little bit of unbalance. And obviously due to the weight, there's a slight bit of movement in this piece here. So if I zoom in, you can see this. There's a very slight amount of movement between these two parts, obviously, because as it's on there and the phone adds some weight, there's some movement. And the problem that creates is a slight amount of sagging. So what I'm going to try is move my diagonal so it's off to the side. So instead of the phone being sat on the top, it will be sat on the side. I don't know if that's going to help, or if this, obviously the sagging is still going to be there. I don't know. I'm going to try it out. And the other thing I'm going to try is I've got another phone which is an iPhone 5. So I'm going to try that in here as well, because the only thing that I don't think it's going to be an issue for me, because I think at night time everything's black, so it doesn't matter so much. But I did have some issues, as you saw in the video, of when I was zooming in, you can still see the circle of the eyepiece. So perhaps if you're looking to not use this with a telescope, but with a spotting scope, or you're looking at nature or whatever, you may be a bit put off by the fact that you have that eyepiece in view. So I want to find out if there is a way where, if you have a slightly different phone, if that impacts how much you can zoom in and out. Because the problem I had is I could zoom in, but then it was all blurry. Now maybe it's a combination of I just need to adjust the zoom, but as I got too close, it was like the camera just now couldn't focus on anything. So obviously I focused it originally with my eye, and then obviously put the phone on top. So there may be an element there that I need to test out. So I will try that out again, that's hopefully later this evening if it's not too cloudy. But I think for nighttime viewing, I'm hoping I can get some good shots. I'm going to see at the end of this how well this works. Now I think the thing to note, I'm still really new to this and researching, and there's a few other things that I want to try out. But whether you're using your phone or whether you're using a digital SLR, these type of cameras are not optimized for astronomy, right? That's not what they're designed for. So really, like, the best type of cameras are webcams to use for this type of viewing. But this is, you know, quick, easy, attach it, get some good shots, hopefully good video, and share it. So I'm not trying to confuse this for not what it is. And I'm interested in trying out some webcams in the future to get some better astro imagery. But let's I'll pause the video here and we'll follow back up after I've tried it with a different phone and in the evening, see what the footage is like, and then kind of do a final conclusion. But right now, I think compared to the other offerings, yes, it's not cheap, but I think it seems pretty decent, especially for astronomy. Okay, so it's not nighttime yet, but I've been doing a little bit more daytime testing, and I'm so glad I did, because I'm actually really even more impressed with this. So I think it's really about understanding a bit better about how it's working and how best to utilize your smartphone with this device. So a couple of the key things, and again, if you know better than me, please feel free to leave comments in the description. This is just my experiences and what I recommend. So I originally thought it made sense that I wanted to get the camera lens as close as possible to the eyepiece, and that's still kind of true, but I actually found as I started to zoom, well, not zoom out, as I kind of rolled it back and moved it further away, a couple of things happened. I think obviously these smartphone cameras have a big field of view, and so I started to have a much fuller image in the picture. But obviously the negative side of that was it also increased, I guess, the circular effect of the eyepiece. So I was focused in on a bush some way away to try and test this out, and it was in a darker environment, so I did it shooting from the garage out up to the field. So a couple of things I noticed was it's definitely much better without light, I guess, ingress from the outside. I don't know if it's vignetting, or I don't know the proper term, but basically if you're doing this from not at night time, during the day, I try and put some cover around the outside, like a cloth or something, or maybe put a towel over your head or something, I don't know, whatever it takes to get the best imagery. And so I tried it on both obviously my iPhone 8 Plus, which I'll come back to in a moment, but also on the 5S as well, and it didn't make any difference. So it wasn't better or worse, and it's actually quite good to see just how flexible this is. Obviously these phones are very different in size, but both worked really well. But yes, so like I said, what I found best actually with my iPhone 8 Plus is it's got the two eyepiece, two lenses. I'm going to get so confused with the terminology. The two lenses, and I tried it like in photo mode, video mode, slow-mo mode, and this is when it's changing the lens piece across. So it is really nice, the fact that you can just adjust that knob and move from side to side really effortlessly. It is clear that the people at Celestron that designed this actually have used it. They haven't just said, hey, we'll just put this crap together and see how it works. They've definitely thought about the ability you need to have adjust it, fine tune it, how smooth it is using both hands, everything. So really, really good, really impressed with that actually. What I found was on the iPhone 8 Plus, obviously I can tap it to help with the focus, then things look real crisp as you'd expect. Then with a 2x zoom, it's just enough that it punches in and kind of completely eradicates that eyepiece thing and really kind of fully immerses you in the shot that what you're taking. So I'm actually really excited now about trying this out this evening, assuming we get some cloud break. So I'm not sure, obviously this isn't going to pick up things super well in terms of deep space stuff. I'm hoping that might be get some imagery of Saturn or something. Again, the moon isn't out right now, so depending on when I upload this and get the edit done, if the moon comes around, I'll see if I can grab something. I think that's where it's going to be most obvious of the benefits, and see if we we might go to catch some shooting stars or something, but I don't know if this is going to work well enough in terms of how the smartphone lens works. But that's also part of the test. So I'll stop, talking about how suddenly even more impressed I am with this. So right now, all this stuff aside, even without the nighttime shots, I think if you're looking for a real flexible smartphone adapter, the Celestron one is the one to pick up. It's so easy to change out the phone for different sizes and do the micro adjustment that you need. So let's hope that the skies are clear and we can finish this off with some nighttime footage. But right now, I think this gets my recommendation. If you're looking for a flexible 3-axis smartphone adapter, don't bother with the cheaper ones. Go with this. So I had to wait a few nights for some clear sky, but we just had some. So I managed to kind of finish up my testing of this 3-axis smartphone adapter from Celestron, and I have to say I'm really impressed. If you look at these couple of pictures of the moon, it's a really good quality picture considering it comes from an iPhone, right? So, and its ability to be able to focus in, and it was still relatively light. So what time is it now? So it was about 8:40-ish in early August or middle of August when I'm doing this. So the pictures I think have come out really well. Things like the moon is quite easy to focus on. I tried to get a couple of pictures of Saturn. I think I probably really need to wait until it's darker to try and do that, but I was just having some issues with the focusing, not so much with the bracket or the mount, just the iPhone's ability to focus on that small bright object, and it was just all over the place. So I think there are some recommended camera apps for the iPhone that are better for astronomy, so I might look into some of that. A couple of things that I've kind of experienced in these couple of nights of trying to get some decent shots is obviously when you're using a really large eyepiece. So when I switched to some of my Hyperion eyepieces, you really need to make sure you turn this aluminium nut all the way so you can really easily get over that large kind of 2-inch eyepiece. So keep that in mind. If you've got larger eyepieces, you really need to kind of get access and one that's all the way out. With the larger eyepieces, it is a little bit more fiddly to kind of get in there and adjust that, so just keep that in mind, but it works really well. As I said previously, once it's locked on, make sure you do this up nice and tight. I recommend either doing it in the day, or again, if the moon's out, use the moon. So find the bright object with your telescope, pop this on, and then adjust the axis to line it up. Then you know you're good to go. Then you can take the bracket off, move to your next object, and then click this back on again. I found when you're trying to get the phone in and out, even if you kind of do it quite carefully, you can see that if you're not really careful, it will move the bracket slightly, and then you've off-centered your eyepiece. So a little bit of a pain, but not the end of the world. But I'm really impressed with it. I'm looking forward to trying to get more shots. I might try and do some shots of the meteors tonight if it's still visible, because I've missed the window really, but it's been so cloudy. So we shall see, and I'll include that in a future video probably. But yeah, it's not cheap at £50, but compared to some of the other things that I've seen, this seems to work really well. So I think it's an example of, if you buy cheap, you buy twice. So just buy a quality product like this one from Celestron and you probably won't be disappointed. Thanks for watching this video. A thumbs up would be really appreciated. If you're interested in other geek type videos, please consider subscribing to Spectrum Geeks. Why not also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And before you leave, why don't you check out one of these other videos that may be of interest. Thanks again for watching.